Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have my brother back. Jason was very popular in the last podcast we did. Very
Yeah.
popular. We spoke about business. And he's just come back from Brazil on holiday. So I thought I'd bring him in here because me and him speak to no end about the value of traveling. And I want to set the context correctly. But let's first say hello. Hello.
Hallo, how are you?
Lekker. Hoe
It's
was
koud in
Brazil?
die Kaap, jong.
Koud in die Kaap.
Ik kom van die beach af.
Jet lagging.
Jeez, guys, I'm so tired from the jet lag. I was on the beach literally every day and came back to the storm, the Cape Storm.
So what made you go tell people, what made you go to Brazil? Because it felt like it was like out of nowhere. You called me one night and said I booked 2 weeks to go to one to Sao Paulo and two to Brazil, to Rio.
You know, it actually came from feeling a bit stuck for a while because the last time I left the country was with you.
2 years ago
End of 2023.
we went to America.
I did my the sabbatical trip kind of thing. Stella gets a groove back. Go to New York. Saw all of that. So I haven't left the country in a year and a half, and I started feeling that you get when you're in the same place for too long. Your brain starts, cobwebs start forming. And I felt like I needed to shake some of them off. I needed to change the scenery for a while and just be inspired, see new things, get new experiences. And I was like, okay, cool. I want to go overseas, but I also, I don't want to necessarily go do Europe or North America right now because it's their summer. So it's silly expensive.
Yeah.
So I want to go and see something in the global south, if you will. And it was either going to be somewhere in Asia or South America. And I've been to Asia before, so I was like, okay, well, maybe it's time for Brazil.
Okay, so we're going to dig into this a little bit more. But we are both from a small town in the Eastern Cape called Henke. We are very aware of how privileged we sound when we speak about traveling overseas. Now, I want us to also just step back and take ourselves out of the, what people normally do is go, they make almost like we have to overly explain that we know that there's privilege in it and all that. But what we're trying to get at here is what I want out of this conversation is the importance that traveling has been, like how important traveling has been in my life. So for example, I'm from, and it's not necessarily traveling outside of the country. The first time I came to Cape Town, I was very small, but the first time I was conscious, it was like, it's mooi. I remember distinctly how beautiful the mountain was. And just like, it's like, mense leef soos die. You know what I mean? Because where I came from, in Hankie is nog maar 'n mooi plek, maar is 'n klein dorpie. So for a child coming from there to seeing Cape Town is a big shift. Then I went back to the Eastern Cape, and I always, friends of mine laughed at this, but it was true, that there was, after high school, there was like 9 years I hadn't left the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the means to leave.
Yeah.
Then Daddy took us on a trip. Remember that trip? My father...
To Durban? That one?
It was Durban, Joburg. And I was 23. You were...
Like in high school.
High school. Yeah. Lauren was like in primary school probably.
Yeah.
So I was a big guy already. I was ready to finish university. It was the first time I'd come to Joburg with adult eyes. I was in Joburg once before, but I was like 5 years old.
Yeah.
That trip, because to set the scene, my dad has a shop, my mother is a teacher. Two things would happen. One, it would be too expensive to travel. Two, we never had the time because you can't leave the shop alone. Want wie gaat kyk agter die winkel? So this one holiday, my dad decided, Jason and Lauren had never been on a plane yet. I hadn't been on a plane since I was 5, so I was 23. And my mother had never been on a plane yet. And he decided to take the whole family on a trip to Durban. And then from Durban to Johannesburg. And on that trip to Johannesburg specifically because I was in the right frame of mind. I was, 22, going like, what is my life going to be? I need to get out of the Eastern Cape. I need to get forward and move forward. That trip to Joburg made me go, yo. I remember looking at like going to something as simple as Sandton City, going like, yo, people live like this,
Yeah.
And what was also very striking to me, and I don't want to make this about race, was when you come from the Eastern Cape, the first time you get to Joburg, you see opulence amongst people of color.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't used to seeing in the Eastern Cape. And I'll be honest, it's there, but it's not as prevalent as it is in Johannesburg. So I was like, it was an awakening. And then immediately when I went home, I was so inspired and I was just ready to get out of university and get a job in Joburg. Because before then, I'd never considered Johannesburg as an option. Ons, jy kom met die Oos-Kaap en almal gaan Kaap toe because it's mooi in die Kaap.
Yeah.
But it was so clear to me that I needed to chase my career and I needed to go to Joburg.
You make such an important point because I think that is really like one of the key motivators for me when it comes to like just traveling is that leaving your hometown. Most of us know a lot of people. Some of us are in that position where you've never actually left your hometown. I know so many people that have never left the Eastern Cape that we grew up with.
We know a ton.
Never left their province, never left their city or whatever. And you find that even in Joburg and in Cape Town, I know lots of people that work corporate jobs. They've never left the city that they find themselves in because no one has ever pushed them to leave town or there's nothing that's ever pulled them out of town. And the thing is, you don't know what you're missing out on until you do it. And the main thing that you get from traveling is seeing versions of different opportunities and options for your own life that you wouldn't have ever considered for yourself. Like the story, the story that you just told as well is you didn't consider a life in Johannesburg. You never considered what it would be like to live in Gauteng. And then you went there on a trip and then all of a sudden it's changed. It's completely changed your outlook on life and your life itself.
Completely changed my life.
The trajectory of your life has changed.
Completely.
And this is the thing that I don't think people appreciate about traveling is that it's more about going out there and seeing different opportunities for your own life. Yeah. And that's such an important thing for me because it inspires you, even when we traveled overseas to the first time we went to New York.
Yes.
The New York thing. I remember us traveling. It was like the first time the three of us traveled together. My sister.
So it was Lauren's 21st birthday, and Jason and I decided, as a gift to her for her 21st birthday, we would take her to see New York and London.
Yeah.
Also, just because now at that point we had just started to travel when we saw the merit of it, and we wanted to blow her mind as early as possible.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So,
I remember before that trip happened, I had an argument. I remember having an argument with a colleague at work that was just a friend of mine, and I don't know what we were discussing, but I remember a line that he said to me. It's like, you know what, Jason, the problem that you have is that you haven't seen enough of the world. And that's why you've got a very limited view on the world because you haven't traveled enough. And
ignorant.
Basically, nicest way to tell me that I'm ignorant. But I didn't. In the moment, I was like, yeah, okay, let me go and travel. Let me go and see what this bra is talking about.
Yes.
And that trip, going to New York, was like such a big deal. Because this is like one of these cities in the world that I never even imagined I'd ever see.
It was always a one day we're going to go thing.
Yeah, and going there was such a big deal. I remember us flying into New York the first time, and it was winter. We decided the worst possible time, in my opinion.
Into LaGuardia.
To fly into New York, and I remember thinking to myself, geez, this is a big deal.
This is
such a big deal.
And it's also because we watch that city on TV so much.
Yeah.
So now also, before we go further, that thing you speak about people never leaving, you can always you find and I've done it many times, you find yourself talking your way out of a traveling or a trip because of money. It's almost always, but ek kan so baie doen met die ding. There's always like, my kar moet ek nog, kan ek oorsprei, vir hy geld kan ek vir my 'n lapa opsit. It's always something so practical.
Yeah.
So it's easy to then go, nee man, traveling is frivolous. But let me tell you, every time I've pushed myself beyond and gone, gaan die geld neersit because it's a lot of money. Let's be honest. That New York trip,
it's enormously expensive.
That first New York trip with Lauren
was massive.
And it was like we both had splitting Lauren's bill.
It was Nene's gate as well. Nene gate. You know the currency, the rand dollar exchange rate went through the roof.
Yeah.
Because there was a finance minister got fired or some crazy thing happened.
Yeah.
And then a cup of coffee in London, I remember, was like 250 rand.
I remember waking up one morning because it was miserable and cold in London on that trip and seeing that spirits were down on this holiday. Jason and Lauren were not lekker. Like, is koud man. Ons het ver gevlieg, is koud, ons kan niks doen nie. Christmas in London, if you don't have family there, alles is af.
Don't go.
Don't go.
Let me give you some advice. If you want to see London, go in summer, go in spring, go in autumn. Don't go in winter. Don't go during Christmas because Christmas Day is net Jay in the Ibis Hotel.
Yeah, and as listen, it's the most Christmassy Christmas place you'll ever see, but they take Christmas very seriously.
Yeah, but people leave town.
Yeah,
no
things
one in
shut
London.
down in London. Like you can't get a burger at the McDonald's on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And that's something we didn't know until we got there on Christmas Day. Maar nou sien ek as I run up to Christmas, I'm also a very glasses are full type of person. My broer and sister is nie so nie. You know? So I woke up one morning because now everything starts to get expensive. It's now day 3. Everything's expensive. It's very cold. It's wet. We're all staying in this little room together. My sister's on her bed, a separate bed.
She's burnt through her pocket money already.
She burnt through her pocket money because she's a student. My parents gave her I remember my parents giving her what we thought was enough money, like a big sum. You know what I mean? Like, because it was not her birthday, because my parents also weighed in. They went, okay.
Oh, that was 5,000 rand, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that. This is going to cover it.
This will be enough for the 2 weeks.
He's 5,000 rand and dag 3. It's just like, Lauren bought nothing. She just bought her meals. And then me and Jason looked at her and
went,
hey,
it's a gambling machine by your geld slip. That is what it full. When you land in like London or New York or one of these first world countries where your 5,000 rand your pocket money. But it's like putting your money in, die machine sluk jou geld. And it's like a vending machine and die pakkie chips hang there.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I remember just going across the road and buying Starbucks. Ek gaan vir die almal Starbucks koop vandag. Because this is now getting ridiculous because now we penny pinching and that's also not a lekker thing. So then that coffee lifted spirits so much. But I feel like we're speaking again here. It doesn't sound very pleasant.
Yeah, No, but the point that I was wanted to make was that landing in New York on that trip.
Yeah.
Because we did the London, it was miserable, and we landed in New York. And I remember the moment where I felt the payoff of the investment. With the moment when you see the Empire State Building, the Statue of Liberty, you're landing, you're thinking Home Alone, Macaulay Culkin. It's magic. Stuff. All of a sudden there's magic. That's the thing with travel. It's like, if you compare the money spent on the new couch versus the flights to New York and going there, is the one you're investing into a couch and you know what you're going to get. The other one is you're investing into magic and you have no idea what's going to come out.
Man, the magic. That trip, remember, we went to New York. As soon as we came over Manhattan with that plane and we looked out the windows, things were percolating. Yeah. Then we land, and remember on that trip, we went, I got a gig. I got an open spot in New York.
Yeah.
And it was another so I can do stand-up outside of the country. So those things were already and that was how many years before I started traveling?
That was very early days.
Early days of my stand-up career. I was 3 years in maybe.
Yeah.
And then I went, and then that opened the door in my head that I can must do comedy anyway.
Yeah.
That was great. It makes me a little emotional. Makes me weepy.
Yeah, because that's
all of these shows went to London, New York, Australia. Not New York, but Australia and those countries because
Well, you did perform one of them in New York. This one.
that one over there.
But that's the thing. It opens all of these doors in your mind that were previously closed that you didn't even know existed.
Yes.
And that's the thing that I think that people don't realize is that when you travel, you're really changing your life. In like you think it's just a waste of money, I guess, and so for people that haven't done it, but every single time I come back from a trip, I'm like, that's changed me.
That's moved me in, and I think you're the same. We are city traveling people. I'm always thinking business opportunity. I like a first world country. I like the next trip I really want to go on is Japan. My wife wants to go to Spain, so I'm gonna take it to Spain first. But I'd like to go to Japan because I know I'm gonna like Japan. I like that thing because I come from. Ons kom van Jeffreys Bay. As die mooier beach as Cape St. Francis. As die mooier as Kaapie. So I always feel like I need to go see things that I can't see. However, there's two types of trips, and you mentioned it earlier, before, off camera. There is a holiday like Brazil feels it's leisure, it's fun.
It's a beach, it's chill, it's eat,
and
it's
then
resorts, whatever. And then there's like an inspirational holiday. And I like the New York one was inspirational. Hong Kong was I went to Hong Kong, it was inspirational. I think like things that really, for me at least, really drive, like motivate me. When I go to like a first world country and I see like how people live, like even going to like Sydney,
Sydney. Australia was also like a great experience.
Yeah, that's inspirational, and it makes you think, I can also do this. It makes this unattainable thing a lot more realistic in your own life. You're like, I can also live here. I can make this work. I can figure it out.
Yeah. And at the low, and then whenever I come back, I'm also like so grateful. I go, we got a lot going for us in South Africa.
Yeah.
Every time I've come back from a country, I come back to South Africa, I go, we have a lot going for us. And then I bring some ideas with me and I bring that energy with me and then I go at it again. And
yeah, no, that's 100%. I think one of the big takeouts is that traveling also makes you appreciate home a lot more.
Yeah.
Because when you come back and you're like, South Africa's it's a very clean place. The air is crisp. It's the people are friendly. We've got so much going for ourselves. The cost of living is low versus all of these first world countries. It's that those places will break your back. I mean, this is something we always talk about is when you go to New York, for example, the amount of mental health issues that you see on the streets.
Yeah.
And it's that city. The city bears a lot of weight on people's shoulders and it breaks them.
Yes.
And, you're like, at least we take care of our people a little bit better.
So that New York thing, after we just spoke about New York and such glaring, like, wow. Both of us have been to New York. I've been 3 times. And the one time I went for shows to go and watch the Montreal Comedy Festival. So I flew into New York, stayed there, and then went to Canada for a bit. And when you stay there for more than 2-3 weeks, you start, the rose-colored glasses fall to the floor and you start looking at people. You go, it's an amazing city, but it's hard to work here. I remember the specific thing I noticed one day was that there were so many people in custodial services like janitors, I don't know if you can say that anymore, but janitors, those kinds of jobs, people my dad's age, 70, like working really hard, going, yo. Ons mense is arma. My pa kan nie so werk op 17 nie.
Yeah, no, listen, I think there's a difference, man. like in when you go there, 70-year-olds doing 3 different jobs, 2 different jobs.
People working hard.
You're like, what is going on? Yeah. What is going on? We are like, at least I think in South Africa, we appreciate the elderly and we make sure that we're a little bit more conscious about it. I mean, you can't be 75, 70 years old. The woman's working. She's a cashier.
Ja.
Net toe het sy nog 'n job wat sy na toe gaan.
Ja.
You know, because then now she's on the bus, it's raining, it's cold.
Ja.
It's winter. She's got second job to go to. She's
Ja.
in her 70s. There's a almost a cruelty to it.
100%. And also, again, I can hear the comments going, yeah, man, Zuid-Afrika sukkel ons mense. Ek verstaan dit. We understand that there is a lot of poverty and it's struggling. But what we're talking about is, it's not as, everything isn't always so amazing in another country. When you get there, you think about your own life. You're always going to think about yourself. And I go, how much work would I have to do to make it here? And then you meet friends. I have friends in these countries that have to work 3 jobs. 3 jobs. Day, night, weekend. You cannot believe. I remember speaking to a girl in an electronic shop and going, she's yawning and I said, how long is your shift? Ek like mos nog gesels met mense. She says, yeah, I'm almost done here, but I start in 2 hours at the diner. I was like, what do you mean? She says, no, I've got to go from here to the diner. And then I said, when do you sleep? I said, I sleep on the train tomorrow. And then on the weekends, I work at a coffee shop. I was like, yo, this woman, you know, that's normal. Australia, again, a whole different experience. I remember going into Australia, and then every time you put things together for yourself, you go, in Australia, I spoke to a guy, I bought a pair of sneakers for Natalie, and I spoke to this guy that worked in a Total Sports. The guy went, oh, you're a comedian? I said, yes. And he said, where's your show? And I told him where the show was. And, you know, I forgot about it. I thought, I'll never see this guy again, because let's be honest, in South Africa, if you're working in a sort of Total Sports and then you go, how much money it is to buy a ticket. I think like a ticket to my show at the time was like something like $20, which is like 200 something or 300 rand. Then you start going, ek gaan hom nie weer sien nie. Then that night, this bra rocked up with his girlfriend, had dinner before, enjoyed the show, bought drinks. And I went, oh, wait, minimum wage in this country is $22. This guy can work in a retail space and really have the dignity of having a very comfortable life.
Yeah.
So like there's those moments that...
Yeah, and every country has their own thing, and when you explore more of it, you see, you know, there's some things are better in South Africa, some things are better overseas. The immigration thing that people always talk about, you know, there's people have strong views in either direction. I think that we shouldn't write off South Africa like a lot of people. I guess you get despondent with South Africa often because you think things are worse here. But it's because you haven't seen enough of everything else to actually know that there's a lot of things that in South Africa that do work very well versus elsewhere in the world. And you shouldn't, you know, maybe go and check it out before you decide you're going to move your whole life abroad.
100%. I also go like, if you can, the first time I traveled overseas, I had spoken myself out of traveling for 27 years of my life. Because it was always too expensive. I always had something else to pay for. And I really couldn't afford it. And then 1 year with work, I got a promotion. And that promotion made me, I had to fly into Belgium. Remember, I had to go to Belgium. And that was the first time I'd left the country to go to Belgium. Mind you, at this time, I hadn't even seen Namibia across, just here by us. So I flew into Belgium and we went to Antwerp. And then I went a couple of times. And after that trip, I was like, yo, I've got to do more of this.
Travel bug.
I've got to do more of this. And it was great because that time, that one of the trips, I just put a little bit of money in and then took some days off. And my boss was cool. And he told me, Alfred, you must go to Paris. And then I went to Paris because then I could take the Eurostar. And the feeling of like, you know, the aha moments, the like blowing your own mind, traveling alone. I love traveling alone. I love pounding the streets alone. It opened my mind. And then after that, yeah, I let it. I put it in the universe. I need to go out to the country as much as I can.
Yeah. No, I think you need to, the same way we think about education, I think we need to think about travel in the sense that it's not just a leisure thing. It's something that you almost need to put into your schedule. Like every year, every other year, try and go and see something. Save up a little bit of money, even if it's on a budget that you're going, just so that you can change the way that you think and bring some ideas home.
I think this whole conversation is very much around traveling for the purposes of bettering yourself. I get the whole holiday thing. Natalie's been saying, let's go to Thailand for a vacation. It's so much cheaper and da. I've never been that keen on traveling for leisure. I've always been, can I do a show there? Can I go see how it works there? How can I make money there? What will inspire me there? I'm very much that guy. So, because ek sê mos man, ek kan hier in die Kaap vir my 'n lekker holiday gee. I always have that view, which is probably wrong as well. But I wanted to talk about also the flops we've had overseas. And one of the flops was Jason had gone New York again. Jason's on his second trip to New York City. I'm on my way to New York literally 2 weeks after Jason comes back. Jason is there. I look at, because at that point in time, I went, okay, if I'm going to travel and see the world and try and do comedy outside of South Africa, mind you, this is 8-9 years ago. I've got to do it on a budget, man. I can't go there expensive.
Oh, yes.
I look at this place as a cheap plek in New York, man. Maar as in Chelsea, ek dink, say less, ek het my eie kamer. It says there, communal bathroom, but I'm like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, I can just shower. It was net a shower, man. It's in en uit. Ek was alleen. Natalie's hier by nie. Hey. I tell Jason, go look at the place. Jason, because it's okay. Jason sê nie vir my, niks verder as dit is okay. Because he went to look at it for me.
Ek het vir jou gesê, ek sal nie haar bly nie. Because I I just remember those steps. It was basically, it felt like a backpackers. It was like,
it was
felt like a backpackers. You just happened to...
Met my soepele lyfie, kyk, ek is nie by hy ouderdom nie.
Alfred had basically in his Harry Potter onder die trappe geslaap en hy backpackers. They had a door there. But I remember the stairs going up into the place.
Yeah.
And it was like, like 30-40 trappies hier op. En as jy elevator nie. En
met suitcase.
Met 'n suitcase.
20 kgs in your arm. So now I get there. Land. Now mind you, I've got to perform not in America because it was in Canada. I've got to go there. The first night I get there, I drag this. Kyk jy, trappe is erg. I had to drag these bags up there. And mind you, at this point, when I was younger, I'm just mos laat jy been, man. Jy slaap sommer op 'n vloer. You don't care. But I had now hit my late 30s. This thing wasn't for me. I got in there. It's like a cubicle. Like net 'n kooi. And then there's air conditioning, but it's open air, It's open air and you can't change the air conditioning. So it was, imagine a big office met dividers. En jou kamer is in 'n divider, maar hy's toe. Then it's neat and clean. And then you shower together. So I get there, I want to shower. I remember going into the shower, hy vloer is nat, man. Van iemand ander mense daar geshower. Die ding sê breakfast included. Jy wat's breakfast? 5 bananas wat in 'n bak sit. Ek dink toe ek shower, I sleep there that night. It's horrible, bruh. It's cold. That air conditioning is cold heel dag because it's standard temp. The next morning I wake up, my voice is gone.
Oh, Lord.
I wake up, I go, now this is what happened to me. At that point, I'd had a little bit of money and I'd saved up a little. Then I had a conversation with Alfred. I said, nee, man.
A group
jy
talk
kan
with
nie
yourself.
so swaar. Is daarom nie so bad dat jy so moet leef nie. Then I overcompensated. I cancelled that accommodation. That same night, I moved to another place, a hotel. And it was, immediately my life was so much better. I remember rocking up at the next hotel and the guy going, hello, Mr. Adriaan. And that blew my mind that this brand new I was coming. Woo! The holiday was so much better.
And that changes the whole flavor of the holiday. I always say, listen, that little extra 1,000 rand, 2,000 rand that you think you're saving, my bro, you are actually ruining your holiday.
You,
Then
especially
you can
after,
ruin your holiday because you want to save R1,000.
Yes.
Nou jy nou net 30, 40, 50, 60,000 rand gemors actually.
Yeah.
Because now
Which
you're
is
having a
miserable.
terrible experience.
Miserable. Elke dag. This is why I also tell people, think about your age and what you can tolerate. There are things that you can be cheap on. Cheap flight, absolutely. Coach, connecting flights, cheaper, get
Well,
those.
we'll talk about connecting flights with your 32-hour
I'll
trip to Sydney.
I'll get into that now. Why is all the horror stories on my side?
Because it was all like a special. The flight is a bit cheaper. Okay, let's go. 32 hours, I could do it.
I told the story on stage. But anyway, so like you must ask yourself what you can live with. Sometimes when you're young, I used to go to Oppie Koppie, ek slaap in a tent, was you met a wet wipe, you know? But then you hit 35. It becomes a little bit more like, what am I doing? You get married. I've got a rule. Maybe it's not for you. When I travel with my wife, ons bly maar by die huis as ons at least a decent accommodasie kan boek. Because I don't want my wife to be miserable. We now miserable. It can klein maar it moet nice, you know? And for me, location is key also. I need to be close to a station where I can get around. So it's all those things you take into consideration. But you must think then you can skimp on things like I said, the traveling, or if you get there, you can go to a supermarket and buy food.
I was just about to say, there's a couple of, for me, I don't speak for everyone, but like there's a couple of easy ways to save money when you travel, if that's what you're trying to do. One of the things is don't go to restaurants when you travel.
Yeah.
Don't go and sit at it. You're not in South Africa anymore. A steak in South Africa, a lekker meal in South Africa at a restaurant, it's going to cost you maybe $350 or 400 or 500.
And we consider that expensive here.
Yeah, no, we consider. If you sit down in Manhattan at a restaurant, you can 2,000-3,000 rand betaal for a steak. So
glass of wine. Yeah.
Don't bother with restaurants. If you're traveling, try and, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to ruin your vacation because you have to go to McDonald's or go to a Tesco or whatever. That's not going to ruin your holiday. You're financially. But sit down at a restaurant, that's going to ruin you financially. That's going to ruin
your holiday. Also, the reality is that you want to see things. Spend the money on experiences.
100%.
Go on the boat trip. Go on up the thing. Go and see the tourist attractions. Don't make the mistake of going to blow your money on food, things that are unnecessary. It makes no sense. So yeah, just spend your money on things that will further your thinking.
Also, the shopping thing, I don't understand. I know a lot of people like to travel and go and shop overseas, but most of these things you can get online here in South Africa.
My wife loves that. She loves to go and, because in a thrift store, I know already when I travel with Natalie, I'm going to go to a thrift store. I'm going to go to the Access Park of New York City or the Access Park of Belgium or the Access Park. Ons gaan altyd so into. That's something I've made peace with. And then that's just what she's into. And then I make sure I get enough in so that because there's things that my wife won't go and see on her own that I have to sort of go, this is what we're going to go and do, so that she can go, oh, wow, you know. But I have a funny story talking about saving money. It's not just you thinking about money. Everyone thinks about money. I traveled with Mark Lottering. We told the story on stage. We arrived the first night in Perth. And then we had a shower and Mark said, kom ons gaan eet iets. We walk around the corner, we go, Mark says, this looks lovely. We're still very much in our Cape Town mindset. We go, yeah, ons gaan iets eat. We walk in. I go, Mark, it is a table. I'm going to use the bathroom quickly. Go to the bathroom. Ek kom terug. Ek kyk, waar's Mark? Mark wy verby van buite af. Ek kom uit, ek sê, wat gaan jy? Ek sê, is 350 rand 'n hamburger. Nee, fuck. Next.
It's expensive, bro.
It's so expensive. So it's not just everyone does that. Even seasoned people, you know, you want to save a little bit of money. Don't go into fancy restaurants.
Yeah. No, exactly. Spend the money on these experiences. You're never going to regret going up the Empire State Building. You're not going to, those are things that are going to be with you for the rest of your life. The meal, it's not going to change the world for you.
Yeah. And I mean, so my question to you is, countries that has really made an impact on the way you think.
Yeah.
Which ones are those? I can go first. Australia made a massive, if there's a country that I could see myself settling or living in, it would be Australia. And people say, oh no, the climate is the same. It's a very different country from South Africa. Let's just be very clear about that. Just because we both like rugby and cricket doesn't mean it's the same. It's very different. But I do, however, see my friends that work there getting ahead and flourishing in life. People that are willing to work, there's a lot more opportunity. I see people doing a lot better.
I see families happier.
And I see happy
like
families.
really happy families. They're like all of these friends and family of ours that have moved to Australia, they just seem happy.
They seem happy, yeah, and they seem to grow both in the family unit and financially. I see the growth.
Yeah. And I mean, the Australia, as a South African, we think of them as our rivals in sports and whatever, and that's the lens through which we look at them, right? And we also think about all of the terrible people that moved to Australia and that were, in the early days because they ran away from the new South Africa, and we associate all of that negativity with it. But let me tell you, Australia is probably, as you said, it's one of the few places that I could see myself living in because it's just beautiful, and it's
beautiful. Food is great. If you're willing, it's safe, very safe. Compared
there's so
to
many
what we used to.
opportunities for people.
People flourish. Like I see them because I've got so many friends that have moved there, and I go, oh, are you sure? And then just like a couple of years later, beautiful lives, kids are doing well. So yeah, we got a lot of that.
Yeah.
Then there's countries where I go, beautiful place, amazing, but yeah, I don't know if it's for me. Like especially countries that don't have like if you want to immigrate, I go, be sure that you go into a place that you can sustain a future in. A lot of these countries you're never going to get, like the Middle East, you're not getting a green card. So when you do go, you have to be clear on what you want because you're going to have to leave at some point. Some people have done really, really well there. Other people, not so much, right? So when you do travel, the Middle East, Dubai will blow your mind. That's another great place to go for a vacation so that you can see what, the Middle East is a different thing. It's a mind-blowing, beautiful place. Very safe.
Yeah, no, listen, in terms of countries, Australia, I would go there and I would even live there. It's a beachy fair van yourself, but it's a nice place. The US is, funnily enough, like I like the southern states. Like when we went to Austin in Texas, that was pretty cool. I like New Orleans. Like I like the southern states. Washington was pretty cool. I can't see myself ever living in New York. I also wouldn't be able to live in California or in LA. That's the last trip we did. Europe is nice, but also can't really see myself living there. Some places are for holidays, man. Some places are just for holidays. You don't have to stay there forever.
Also, it's completely subjective because I've got friends that live in London that are happy in London. I couldn't live in London. I love it when I go and visit there. The first couple of times I went, because I go work there quite a bit, I found it very challenging. Now I enjoy it because I know now where to sort of go. I've got friends. I've found my crowd. But it's very much subjective. You've got to go and see it so that you can...
What's the first place that you would... If there was someone that came to you and said, I've never traveled before, Alfred, where would you recommend I go? What place would you recommend to them?
Money, no matter.
Well, just the normal South African hasn't left the country before.
New York. I tell them to go to New York because first and foremost, they've probably seen it so many times in the media. And when they go there, New York, and the second one is Paris, because I don't think it's not overrated. Those two cities are not overrated. I absolutely love Paris. I absolutely love New York. And I think that it was like a mind-blowing experience and such a shift. It made such a massive shift in my thinking. That's the first places I'd go. Because I think that people are familiar with it from a distance, and the reality of it is so different. I think that those two places. You?
I would say it depends on what they want. If they want to be inspired, I would agree with you. Go to either New York or go to an Asian country like a Hong Kong or something.
No,
'Cause
I've
that's
never
like
been.
mind, it's mind-boggling, right?
I've never been.
Like
I want to go to an Asian
it'll
country.
shock your mind, and like really inspire you. But in terms of like a beach holiday, budget holiday, a lot of people tend to go to Thailand. South Africans, I think we need to retire the Thailand trip. Everyone is
It's
going
not
to
as cheap as it used to be either. As bloody dear on my tickets to
Listen, I've been to Thailand. I did to Thailand twice. If you go to Thailand, go to Koh Samui. It's nice, or Krabi or whatever. But Phuket, that was I didn't enjoy myself. Pattaya, I didn't enjoy myself. Bangkok is fun, but it's not for everyone. I'd say like there are better beach holidays that you can have on a budget.
Cape St. Francis. Cape St.
Jeffrey's
Francis.
Bay.
Jeffrey's Bay. Mooi. Was jy al in George op die see?
Oh, wait, let me tell you, listen. Brazil. I went there. There's probably the most beautiful place that I've ever seen with my two eyes. I mean,
Brazil?
Rio de Janeiro is one of the most beautiful places you will ever see. I mean, like everything that you like, Cape Town, Sydney, all of these places you've been to, you can't compare. Rio is beautiful. But laat ek vir jou sê, moet jy gaan swem in die water. I was in Ipanema. While I was on the beach, I think 5 people were drowning.
Huh?
Dude, the waves, they've got riptides in Ipanema. The riptides, the ocean is so wild in Ipanema and it changes on you quickly. And then as die mense in die water, and before they know it, they're being pulled out, right? So the lifeguards are constantly swimming out rescuing people.
Huh?
Apparently in Brazil, like 1,000 people drown a year.
What? I didn't know
because
that.
the ocean is crazy. It's crazy. Jy sal jou
No
inslip.
sê jy vir my
So
dit.
it's a lovely holiday. It's beautiful.
Maar bly op die land.
Pas op, hy caipirinhas op die beach and then you go for a swim. Jy gaan nie terugkom nie, jong. It's a
Versypsels.
dangerous thing. But let me tell you, Brazil is one of those places I would recommend. I see a lot of more South Africans are going doing a holiday in Brazil now, which is great. I think SAA has made it easier because the flight's short, 7-8 hours. But learn some Portuguese before you go. Make sure that you are
You
aware
said that
of
it
those
like no
oceans.
one speaks like Engels is hier ding.
Now, people don't speak English, man. They don't even understand when you speak English to them. They don't understand what you're saying.
Sure.
It's a whole different world. So learn a little bit of Portuguese. I know how to order an orange juice with ice now. Suco de laranja com gelo. Elke dag moet ek my Portuguese flex because if you don't know your order, if you're sitting at a restaurant, dan moet jy Google Translate uithaal. Dan moet jy eers intik hierso, okay, ek soek 'n koppie koffie met melk en die en daai and whatever because the waiter doesn't know what the hell you're talking about.
That's wild.
So it's kind of crazy. But Brazil is really cool. I mean, everyone looks like us. Like people thought I was Brazilian.
Hulle sê jy moet net stil bly op die bus.
Yeah, no, everyone thinks you're Brazilian. And then the other thing is they'll steal your phone. Eh?
Apparently you said they steal your phone.
A friend of mine was walking in front of me and just grabbed the phone. And there's hulle sterk gevreed. You turn around, the bra's still standing there. He's like, hey, you just took my phone. No, that didn't happen. It didn't happen. It's like, it's crazy. There's nothing you can do about it.
That's scary.
So the phone, the stealing of phones, that's insane. It's almost like Joburg level phone theft. That's quite intense.
Yeah.
But Brazil it's a beautiful country. I'd definitely go back.
Hulle sê mos die mense loop met deurtrekkers, is dit waar?
Kyk, die mense
Hulle sê hulle is baie boys body positive.
die mense is sexy. It is a country with probably the most beautiful people that I've ever seen because it's so diverse and it's just beautiful, man. Everyone looks amazing, but I've got an explanation for why everyone's in such great shape.
Why?
The food tastes terrible, bro. It's spicy. It's a country that is curry never arrived in Brazil. I always say if you want a business idea, go to Brazil and open an Indian restaurant or just open a Miriam's Kitchen. In Brazil. Yes, I'll klaarmaak. So because those people haven't tasted spice before. A friend of mine is a personal trainer and he does these tourists that come into Cape Town.
Yeah.
And there was a couple that came in and did training with him from Brazil. And he's like, okay, how are you finding South Africa? And they were like, yeah, we can't stop eating, man. the food is amazing.
Yeah.
Because they've never tasted all of these flavors before.
Yeah,
I
but-
mean, again, it van salt and pepper is al.
Yeah. But also, let me just make it clear so that everyone knows. South Africa maak klaar met kos. It's very difficult to beat South African food. Yeah, for the price and the quality.
You got
Very
such a
hard.
diversity of different cuisines
Yeah.
and flavors in South Africa. You can have an Indian food, you can have Chinese food, you can have whatever, braai. There's just so much variety. Brazil, they all eat the same stuff. The other thing that was also interesting is like Brazilians have like very few options in terms of the things that they've got preferences.
Yeah.
If you're going into like a shop, there's always like only 3 or 4 different flavors of a chip. Or there's like restaurant, elke restaurant is rice, baked beans, and vlees. So they've got like a set of things that they like, and that's all they stick to. They don't they don't go and veer off that too much. So that was quite interesting. And then like the last thing I wanted to say about Brazil, which was so different to South Africa, is this thing about cars. So cars, in Brazil, people don't really drive fancy cars. They don't drive German cars. They don't drive VWs and Mercedes-Benz and BMW. No, they are there, but you don't see them as abundantly as you do in South Africa. And it's just the culture is completely different around cars. And there's also economic reasons why people don't buy expensive. The tariffs are insane. Like in Brazil, I think they've got like 100% tariff on like German cars or something. But it's insane. But the other thing is they also don't buy expensive cars because when you own an expensive vehicle, you become a target to crime, right? But I mean, in South Africa, if you buy an expensive car, it's the same thing. But what's interesting to me is that in South Africa, it doesn't even matter whether you can afford the vehicle or not. You're buying the coolest car that you can possibly get.
Yeah.
Whereas in Brazil, the culture is completely different. They don't do that.
Yeah.
They're all driving a budget vehicle.
But that's very similar, like a lot of countries you see, like I mean, if you're going to go to, I mean, you still see these fancy things, but like if you're living in New York or London, most people, I mean, buying a car is an expensive exercise when you can just get on the train, you know?
Yeah. No, it's just a interesting
thing.
I think it's just the cultural differences. Like, I think that we value a car. I think like it's
a show of wealth almost
it is
in South Africa.
It's a status thing in South Africa. It's like, this is my worth. I've got to look at my car. Kyk hoe kwaai is my car. Whereas there, they can't be bothered with it.
The other question, like things that you've seen around the world that's just like a little weird. Like, for example, it took me a lot of time, like talking about fancy restaurants. I went to Paris and I have friends that live in Paris and they took me to a fancy restaurant and it was a great meal and we sat down. But the thing that was weird for me is that they don't leave, because restaurant culture is so strong in Paris that they don't leave a gap. So like, you'll sit at this table. If there's a seat there and someone wants to sit there, they just come sit there. By jou tafel, saam met jou en eet. That was always weird for me. Like, they put those people, jy sit hier, ek en my vrou sit hier, as a 4-man tafel. Nee, hulle bring aan nog 'n kappel by dieselfde tafel hier langs jou. Julle praat nie met mekaar nie, ons praat nie. Hulle praat daar. It's wild.
Yeah, no, listen, I had this. Okay, so in Hong Kong, I remember going to a Michelin star restaurant. Really, like it's one of the most affordable or cheapest Michelin star restaurants you can go to in the world.
Yeah.
Is in Hong Kong, and I went to this place and they serve char siu and chicken and duck and whatever, right? But one of the things that they do with the duck is hulle vat hy mes 'n kappel die been ook in, man. So there's like splinters of like bone in the meat. So while you're eating it, you're also eating these kind of splinters, right? And it's that same seating arrangement because this is like, it's Hong Kong, so there's limited space. So everyone's sitting on top of one another. But they've got these little bakkies vir die bene, almost like a spittoon. Nou sit jy langs in die ankel, and I was sitting with a friend at this restaurant in Hong Kong. And die uncle next door langs my sit en eet en sy rys en hoender of rys en duck. En so sê dit eet elke keer na hy byt vat, dan spoeg hy beentjies daar in hy bak en dit elke nou en dan tref 'n stukkie opvang. I was like, okay, this is a whole different experience. Spitting in Hong Kong was like a huge problem. They had to outlaw The spitting thing. The spitting is like, it's like a weird... It's a huge problem that they had to deal with.
That's wild.
Yeah.
So like, but there are these little quirks and things that you find that they just do things slightly differently. I also remember going to Australia for the first time, getting there late at night. Well, there late at night, day for me. So I've got jet lag. I'm standing. I'm going, there was like a little filling station just like a block away that I saw coming in on the transport. And I thought to myself, ek's honger man. Ek weet daar's 'n pie of 'n ding of 'n pak chips wat ek kan koop, but now I'm nervous because I'm still in South Africa in my head. Jy kan mos nie nog net loopie.
Yeah.
And I remember looking out the window, thinking about it, and then this girl walked past, dead of night, with a laptop in her hand and headphones on, with a naughty shorty. And then I thought, we're not in South Africa anymore.
Yeah.
So like, because you have to unlearn the level of crime that you are used to. And that was for me like it's a jarring thing in Australia. I mean, crime isn't non-existent there, but it's not what we have.
Yeah.
And then like the headline being like, because now as a comic, you're always looking for an angle to talk about something local. And then you look at the newspaper and they're like, the biggest crime for the week is like, are they fighting over the bicycle lanes and people not respecting the bike lane?
Yeah.
Like headline news, bruh, they shot 44 people today in South Africa, you know? Like, so it's like just a different... And then when you go to America also, like, as plekke waar jy besef, hierso kan ek nie net so loopie. New York.
I would say, like the funniest thing is people don't understand me when I say this, but like I see a lot of similarities between the US and how I feel in South Africa. Particularly around like, the whole propensity towards violence and like crime and all of those things. There are certain places in the States that I definitely wouldn't walk around.
We've also seen some horrible things. Like you see horrible things in the train stations, like people are destitute.
One of the stories is on that same trip that the three of us did was the woman.
There was a woman in front of us with a boyfriend, right?
So there was a young couple walking ahead of us in Penn Station, and they were walking just a couple of steps ahead of us, and she was walking past this homeless lady that had a whole bunch of bags around. And I remember this woman had like a crucifix tattooed on her neck or something.
Yeah,
like it was something odd about it.
She was obviously not mentally stable.
Anyway, and as this girl walks past, this woman starts screaming at this young girl.
Yeah.
And this young girl's like freaked out. The boyfriend is freaked out. And this woman gets up and starts attacking this girl. Die is net hier voor ons.
And I'm looking at Lauren.
Van achteraf. Do you remember that?
I remember that.
I pulled it to the floor. It was like, okay.
In my kop het ek gedink vandag,
like,
ek en Jason moet vasstaan hier, so, want if die vrou na Lauren toe kom, is het 'n probleem.
That was insane. No, you'll see some crazy things.
You see some crazy stuff too. Like, where was it? I don't want to lie. Yeah, another thing like when I do my shows, for example, when I did my show once in London, when you get on a train on a Friday and a Saturday, especially those last trains, you have never seen so many people packed into a tin pipe. Like, but these are all the things that we speak of, and I hear the privilege. When we're having this conversation, I'm trying for everyone to just get to a place where, yes, we know this is a very privileged conversation. We're just trying to highlight what traveling has done for us, but all these things that come to a great financial cost to us, and we've really worked hard to get there. So the thing is, I'm trying to say is that all these experiences we would not have had. Like, I can tell you hoe vol is hy trein op 'n Vrydag aand in London, en die manne gooi op in hy trein. Jy's binne die trein. Hy's hierso. Jy kan ryk, die ding het opgegooi voor. You know what I mean? It's like, but you learn and it opens your mind. And sometimes, like the first time we went to Durban, even that, how it changed the way we thought. Remember going to Durban and just looking at like the culture in Durban is so different from anywhere else in South Africa. Like it's such a different place. And the way food is celebrated and the culture around food is so different. Now I'm privileged enough to go there rather often. But then I was like, yours, anders in die plek.
But there was I think that we need to reframe it as like, yeah, it is a privilege for sure, but I think we also need to just realize people that travel frequently made a conscious decision at some stage in their lives that they want to see the world,
Yeah.
and that they realize that there's the value outweighs the cost,
Yeah.
and they make an active effort to
Yes.
constantly travel. Everyone that I know that constantly travels is saving all the time to make
Yes.
sure that they can travel regularly, planning next year's trip this year already.
Yes.
Al moet hulle stukkie afbetaal.
Yes.
These are people that are actively pursuing this. So don't look at travel as someone that has, Jade weer te veel geld. A lot of people, most
Are
people I
making
know make a
sacrifices.
lot of sacrifices
Yes.
in order to be able to travel.
We've got family that, and friends that have, like, I look at them in admiration, people that they will forsake a lot so that they can put a portion away so that they can go on a trip to London, and then they will huddle and keep it on a nice budget. We see that, and it's enriched their lives to such a degree. That's just the
I
thing.
remember, when I was younger, that was my thing. After that first trip, I was like, I need to make sure that every year, or at least every other year, I leave the country. And I actively need to save towards a trip every between trips. As soon as I come back, I'm saving for the next one.
Yes,
A little
absolutely.
bit every month. Make sure that at 2 years from now, a year from now, there's another trip on the horizon.
Okay, so to wrap this up, where's the next place you want to go to, that you are going to?
Definitely somewhere in Asia. Still need to figure that one out, but definitely somewhere in Asia. I want to go back there because I think that's like of the most like out there experiences that you can have in terms of our lives in South Africa, like going to a China, a Hong Kong, a Japan, a Singapore, like it's so far removed from our day-to-day lives that it really blows your mind.
I would agree. My aspirations is to go to Japan. I'd like me and Natalie to go. The dream have and I've consciously started to save is so that I can take Ethan and Tyler when they are a bit bigger. I want to take them to London or to somewhere Europe, and I want to take them to places that they learn about in history class. I want to take them to those places so that as much traveling as I can do with them, I'd like to do, because even like Namibia, even in South Africa, so that I want them to be able to go. My dad took us. My dad took us here. And initially I always wanted to go like, we're going to go to Disney. And I started to save for Disney when Ethan was born. But now more and more I'm going like, nah, Disney, man. What Disney? Let's take them to see, Brazil or the Eiffel Tower.
My dad took me to the Statue of Liberty. My dad took me to Christ the Redeemer. My dad took me to the Empire State Building.
That's the
all
move.
that.
So I'd love that.
That would be cool.
That'd be cool. Anyway, dankie vir die kom.
Yeah, thanks for
Jy's
the
nou 'n regular.
invitation.
Jy's nou 2 keer op, so hy's regular energy.
Yeah.
Okay, have a lovely trip and have a lovely trip. That's what I want to say to you.
Start
Have a
saving.
lovely
Book
trip.
your flight, swipe by
Book
card.
your flight. Alles
Swipe.
swipe by card. Spaar op, gaan
This is the
saam.
opposite to our previous podcast where we told people not to spend money unnecessarily.
Exactly. Alles het
It's an investment, man.
as an investment in yourself.